Welcome back to Talk Horror to Me, the only movie review horror podcast that knows better than get on a boat with a bunch of goats. Just saying. But before we get in and talk to the ladies, we got Brooke and Ashley. Carly's taking the night off. Let's see what we are looking at tonight.
Tonight we review Apostle. Apostle is a 2018 gothic folk horror film written, directed, and edited by Gareth Evans, and starring Dan Stevens, Lucy Boynton, Mark Lewis-Jones, Bill Milner, Paul Higgins, and Michael Sheen. It had its world premiere at Fantastic Fest in September 2018 and began streaming on Netflix in October of 2018. In 2005 London, prodigal son Thomas Richardson has returned home only to learn that his sister has been held for ransom by a religious cult. Determined to get her back at any cost, Thomas travels to the idyllic island where the cult lives. As Thomas infiltrates the island's community, he learns that the corruption of mainland society that they claim to reject has infested the cult's ranks nonetheless, and uncovers a secret more evil than he could have imagined.
Woo! I don't even need to see the movie now.
Nope, that did it. That summed it up.
I tell you what, I will not ask who picked this film because I picked this film without knowing anything about it. But before I tell you what I thought, I want to know, Ashley, what you thought about it.
I liked the premise of this movie, and I liked the movie. It was very pretty, but it was very drawn out. Like, this has to be a huge heads up to people. Like, this is a long movie, and it feels very, very long. But it's good. You're getting, like, to know a lot of these different townsfolk that's here, and it comes together in such unique ways while you're getting to know everyone's dirty little secrets and what that means for them. So there's a point to the length and the drawing out of certain scenes. But yeah, all together though, I really enjoyed it. I don't want to give away too many spoilers, but
I mean, it's
Mother
only been
Nature,
5 years.
right?
It's been 5 years. You gotta give away something.
Okay, good. Like, this has such strong, like, Gaia vibes. I totally dug that part of it. I liked it. What about you, Brooke?
I love this movie. I love everything about this movie.
Oh, shoot.
I love the storyline. I love the acting. I loved everything. The kill scenes are what got me. So yeah, I love this movie. Yeah, I love the kill scenes.
I could see that with Brooke because she's such a slasher fan. And it has, like, such major, like, this would be, what, like an original slasher tale, if you will?
Yeah.
I mean, it is post Jack the Ripper, so
yeah.
I don't know. For me, Midsommar, Wicker Man, Apostle. Yeah. I mean, it is of that vein, no pun intended. There's lots of Gaian vibes. I think they could have explored that more so.
Yeah.
The Gaian vibe, because I had to go look like ending explained of the movie because I got it, but I didn't understand the woman, the goddess, and like I really didn't understand exactly what her deal was. Why wish y'all abound and plentiful, and then not so much. And I mean, they kind of infer a lot of things. Unfortunately, I love inferences, but I also love, man, just give me something. You can't just give me a cave drawing and expect me to understand everything that it's about. So I think they needed to extrapolate a little bit more for me. But yeah, I mean, I thought I was going to watch, I thought there was this episode of Downton Abbey, pre-car wreck. But apparently this is not Downton Abbey. It's a whole other film with the same actor. And I liked his play, like where he was coming from, why he was so disheveled, what his deal was. I like how they played that into it as well when it all came out to be. Kind of like a redemption arc. And then people were trying to be redemptive. But in the midst of what they were doing to themselves, they were destroying any value of redemption for themselves. So it's deep. I mean, it's deep. It's a lot deeper, and that's probably why the length of the film is so long. Is that they were just getting into these little nuggets, so you could understand the society. It was like watching a Netflix uncovering the cult series. Yeah, that's where there was a lot of that going on too. Of like, why we got things containers? Why what am I doing? It was like, so everything unfolded pretty cool for me. Like, why are we leaving our jars outside our doors at night? This seems weird. So those type of little tidbits I was just munching on. I'm like, oh, this is just like weird culty thing. I'm digging it.
I like how his was the only jar that didn't have the blood in there, so he took the other blood and put it in his.
I mean, you got to share. I sure the hell ain't going to give you my blood. So, no way.
No, but there's, nope.
Yep, nope. What, Ashley? What do you have to tell us?
Oh, no, that I probably would have gave away like a huge spoiler there. That wouldn't have been cool. I stopped myself, though.
Okay.
I
also think there was other parts that were like underdeveloped. Like we needed a plot device to get the town folk to see our guy in a different way. So while it made sense, it just seemed like, man, your screening process is terrible for this island. It's like anybody on this place.
Yeah, it does kind of remind me of Wicker Man, how the island with the cult stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. That's why I want people who are watching this film, do not base your want to watch this film on the trailer.
No.
It feels like it's deep in the woods, horror every second, and it is not that. Which, again, it took me like a half hour to kind of get over what I thought it was going to be from the trailer to be like just like get involved in the story more so on the spot. So, yes, to the audience, do not use the trailer as your indicator for what you think you're going to get.
Right.
Yeah, that's like a way better way to say it. I'm like, just be prepared that it is stretched out, okay?
Yeah, all those cool scenes that you thought you're going to see in a minute and a half, those are the only minute. Yeah, those are the minute and a half scenes you get of all the gore and grossness.
But there is some gore and like they did such a wonderful job with that. This movie will make you mad, and that's one reason why I think that it holds up and it's a good movie. If it can get like an emotional reaction out of me where I want to punch my TV so bad. I was getting heated.
I don't know why. I was actually opposite.
Really?
I mean, I love the main character. I love the guy, Thomas. I really felt nothing about the sister.
Yeah. No, me neither. I was more mad about the lovebirds. The lovebirds. That whole scene right there, like.
And with the father. I mean, and that just unraveled in such a beautiful, grotesque way.
Man,
that I thought was amazing. Again, I had to like do the what did this all mean? Look into that. I'm like, oh, okay, now I get why they were trapping the goddess and what it meant and what they were doing. But again, it was a little obscure, unfortunately. I guess it was when you have the writer, director, editor, all as the same person. He's got it in his head, but sometimes that stuff doesn't get on screen the way he thinks it does because he knows every inch of it. So sometimes like an M. Night movie, he knows exactly all the levers to pull. Whereas Gareth seemed to like, he had brilliant ideas, beautifully shot, well crafted. But again, some of those ideas I think that he thought were evident in his head didn't really make it out for the film.
Yeah, I agree. There was a lot of moments that didn't full circle back. Like there was just stuff that happened, which that's, I guess, in a way it did kind of full circle back because that's kind of the point, was the corruption that was happening and they're not getting anything because they're not giving anything.
Right.
Type situation.
Well, they're just not giving what they need to give.
No. They're taking.
Yeah, and I think it was weird because the symbiotic nature of what they could have had.
Yeah.
They just, absolute power corrupts absolutely. And they thought they could just harness the battery and get everything they ever wanted. I mean, I have to tell you, there's that funnel scene with the goddess, the funnel scene with, and this guy was something straight out of Hostel. I swear to God,
Yeah.
the guy with the wicker head, the wicker face mask thing.
Yeah.
He was creepy as F. I gotta give you that. But like just force feeding the goddess the way they did and churning up the viscera.
Yeah, he gave me like Silent Hill vibes.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes, he did.
Yeah, he
But not-
was creepy.
Man.
Oh, I don't
Yeah.
like wasps anyway, so.
But
was
I want to know what your favorites were because, you know, we're at that time of the show and we kind of talked about it. But Brooke, what was your favorite gruesome moment of this film?
My favorite was when the guy came in to stab, I guess, the priest guy, whatever. He came in to stab him and they all put their sword in him at the same time. That was my favorite kill.
Yeah, he was just kind of like leaning on it.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, that was pretty cool. Miss Ashley.
I think my favorite would have to be the joint effort kill towards the end. That was just beautiful where the girls were pulling and he was
Oh, yes. Okay.
That
When they were bound up with the chains.
Yeah, that whole scene was just so realistic to me. Like in a heat of a moment like that, I feel like all the actors reacted very naturally to like how you would go about it in real life. And then just the realization of, oh, here's all of our moment.
Mm.
And it wasn't even thinking, it was just doing. But if you go back and pay attention to that scene, like the two girls, their reactions to realizing exactly what it was that they just helped accomplish was so spot on. Like, I want to know what happened behind the scenes to give them that look in their eyes of like, oh shit, you know, they did such a good job.
Yeah.
Did an amazing job. And the fact that what that guy wanted to use them for was to further his glory was disgusting.
Yeah.
I'm gonna, you know, and ironically, the scene that everybody kind of honed in on in a trailer, which was a hole saw scene at the top of the head, which we all saw in the trailer. While I loved it, I thought it was creepy as F with the whole table and the you know, the what do you want to call them? The vice grips on the hands and feet and the head. I actually enjoyed more when Thomas was fish hooked into the table and he was going to get ground up.
Yeah.
I thought that whole scene beginning to end was phenomenal. And probably because that's where it was in the film, it was far more like the stress level was heightened for me. The terror, the everything about it. Like, I didn't know if he was going to make it. I didn't. I honestly didn't know if this was like, wow, I guess that's it. And now, like the Wicker Man, like, well, he dies, and now we go on to the next thing, and the island is still as awesome as always. I didn't know, but just the idea of like the hooks and how I was going to get away from the I think the guy was called the Grinder. I think that was the character name for the other character. I just thought it was just well done. Loved it.
It was. Yeah, they played with your emotions hardcore in this movie, I feel like.
And I think it was more evident to you, the audience member, because there were so many long periods of just drama, of like, you know, character development, seeing the lovebirds, seeing what the three guys who were the prisoners who landed on the island, what they were going through, and kind of like the inner struggle they were having. The guy looking for his sister. You know, there was like and the sister herself, what she was going through. So there was a lot of little tidbits that just led to you being invested. But at the same time, I felt like I was distanced from it as well.
I liked at the end, whenever the people in there, they finally realized how bad it actually was, and they wanted to get off the island.
Yeah,
it was like realizing like, this is a bad place. This is terrible. Like, we gotta go.
But here's the thing: it wasn't a bad place. It was just three bad people in charge.
Oh yeah.
Because I could have lived in harmony with the old hermit lady.
Yeah.
So was that her kids? The two brother and sister, was that her kids? Or
no,
it wasn't?
She's like an ancient goddess who basically there was like no one else on the island to worship her, so she shriveled up to nothing. And then those three men found her as basically shriveled up nothing. Like, think like Dracula when he hasn't had blood for so long. And then they used her. So
well, I think they got bounty from her.
Yeah.
Like as a give and take. But then they thought, well, you know how we can get this to be in our favor more so because we're human beings and we like taking shit over. Let's just like bind her up and force feed her what we want to get what we want. And then they realize, oh, why is our crops dying and why is none of our livestock surviving birth? So, and what do? Well, if it didn't work, we'll just double down on the not working stuff and say that. Right. He knows. Furley knows what's up.
Yeah, it could have been a beautiful story. They were just so greedy.
Yeah. And I guess again, it's not the island. The island was corrupted by man's greed. Which I think is like the fable here is fantastic. The flashback backstory of Thomas of going to China and trying to convert people to Christianity, and then he was trying to tell people like you need to believe the way I believe in order for things to go well, and they told him what's what. And that really didn't like make sense to me when he shows up at the lawyer's office at the beginning. And or at the home, and the father's all like feebled and staring at the fireplace, and the guy's explaining about the sister, and he just looks like he just came off a hard rock tour. I was like, I couldn't understand like what his deal was. He was so wide eyed and like dartish. But it was very cool. I like the idea, but I think that they could have trimmed it, and they could have pivoted and given us more conversation about it, or more on the side talking about what we need to do so that the audience was keyed in on what was happening, or even flashbacks.
Flashbacks would have, because there was so many scenes that it was just kind of like giving us a little bit of scenery. Was just the whole purpose of the scene. That could have been a flashback. I agree.
It could have been. Now, hey, just don't get me wrong. I just watched Peter Jackson's the extended Lord of the Rings trilogy this last week. So that's like 10, 12 hours of show. And there's not one piece of scene in that I would ever take out, even if it's them running across the plains and the mountains for 20 minutes. It just works. But in this case, them running across the valley or having to slow draw of cattle through town. I don't know. It just kind of, I think because the action was slow, it slowed down the narrative.
Yeah. I agree. It took me out of it just a little bit, but then when they bring you back in hard. Like you look down for a second, you're just like, whoa.
I mean, I will tell you that the tunnel within the tunnel scene.
Oh yeah, I love that.
Fantastic. That was actually probably the creepiest thing that happened. Like that really like made me jump, and it probably was not it was expected, but just the idea that he's in this murky goo, and then this thing's coming at him. Oh,
and the sounds it was making, I was like, ugh.
Because that was the goddess. Like every time that she showed up, I'm just like, man, I don't know what she really wants from him, but her approach is bad. If this is how she approached the other three men, honey, I would have tied you up too.
Well, that was the other thing too. There was two goddesses. There was the goddess. It was the same goddess, but there was a goddess that was bound, and then like the spirit of the goddess that was walking around in a tunnel next to the church. And that's why when Martin Sheen's looking and he sees like the window and he sees like the goddess kind of walking past, and also Thomas saw the same goddess. There's like, so there was that whole thing that was disconnected and we didn't understand as an audience. Is it the same? Is it different? Is she free? Is she not free?
Right.
So they could have like explained a little bit of that somehow in narrative. But yeah, I had to look it up. Anytime you got to look up something in a film, it's probably not didn't do his job.
Right. You're like, what happened here?
Yeah. And then you just go to Wikipedia.
So why did they chain up the sister? Like, why was the sister locked up in the first place?
Because they thought they would get money for the ransom, so they could buy food and livestock and foodstuffs to get through because they didn't want the people following them, the cult members, to realize just how bad it had gotten for them to survive. So if they basically stole money so they can then buy stuff, people would think that they're doing better than they were.
Gotcha. Okay.
So
she was just collateral damage. Wrong place, wrong time.
basically. But the real question is, what do you think? We're talking about it. We're being critical of it. So I'm going to ask Brooke this time.
Me?
What do you rate this film?
You already know, a 5. I rated 5. Let's see. 5. I'm trying to come up with something good. Nothing good. 5 blood in the jar. I don't know.
Okay.
But I really like this film. It was a really great pick. Like halfway through it, I was like, this is a really good movie. And I had my mouth open the entire time. So yeah, this is a really great pick. Really good.
And I think agreed. Thank you. Thank you. Number one. Number two is that I think, Ashley said it too. We've all saying is like, once you got past what your expectations were, and just look at the film as it is, it's a very, very strong film.
Yeah. Okay.
Now, would I have been happy that I spent $14.50 at a theater watching this thing? No. But for streaming, it was spot on for me.
Yeah.
But that's not my rating. Ashley, what is your rating of this film and why?
I'm going to give this a 4 just because when it did lose me, it really took me out of it. But I'm going to give it a 4 shriveled up moss because I think that was just beautiful. It's like a really first clue, I feel like, what was happening.
All right. I'm gonna be critical on this film because of the simple fact that we all know that trailers make or break a film.
Yeah.
And we know that a whole different company creates trailers out of what they got with different music and scores and quick cuts. And it made this film act like it was going to be darker, grittier, grosser, and it wasn't. So the fact that it took me 20 minutes to be like, when am I going to get to the good stuff, is not a good indicator. But once I was in it, It had some good jump scares. It had some really deep thinking components to it. Less gore. I mean, even the purification of the kid, like the idea of it, it's a lot deeper than just the visceral grossness that we saw. And even the thing with the boyfriend, the girl, and the father, I think was the most tenuous thing I'd seen in film in quite some time. Of like just the audacity of it, I thought was brilliant. So I'm gonna, based on that, I'm actually thinking of my number as I'm talking. So I'm gonna give it like a 3.75, just because it just didn't hit that mark because there was too much waiting and too much like when are we gonna get to what I want to see, and not like being in the moment every moment. So I give it 3.75 bursting blood cliffs.
Yeah, I love that though.
Cliffs bursting in blood and fire, which was weird. It was almost like, why is this in this film? Another thing to like tack on as why is this here kind of thing. But I think it was indicative to like the goddess was rooted in the island.
Mm-hmm.
And that rootness of like what she became and what she fed to the island and what the island was, and nourishment back up and kind of that circle of life, that guy in the circle of life, I thought was like, it just understated. Could just ratchet it just a little bit more. But yeah, overall, definitely for a streaming movie, if you like Wicker Man, you like Midsommar, if you like that kind of culty turn of the century period piece, I think you'll enjoy it. Just go into it knowing it's going to be a slow boil and just enjoy the ride. So yeah. But the real question I have for you, Brooke, Carly's not here today. Carly's taking some time for herself. We wish her well, and we were thinking of her. So Carly gave us full endorsement to say, Brooke, you take my spot, and you tell us what film we're going to watch next.
We are going to watch Orphan.
Orphan?
And it is found on HBO Max, or Max.
Whatever they're calling themselves now. That's
fine.
Everyone's rebranding so much anymore.
I know. The question is why. I haven't rebranded in 50 years. I haven't felt the need to.
I always thought you only rebrand like if you had to file bankruptcy. So I've always assumed companies are doing real bad if they have to rebrand. I'm like,
I think people rebrand. When things aren't going well is when you rebrand. You never rebrand when things are going good.
Yeah.
So my question is, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to watch Orphan, and I'm going to go find that prequel.
It's good.
Wherever it ended up, because when I saw Orphan X years ago, I was blown away by the ending. So now that I know the ending, I want to see how well it plays. Knowing it's not a big M. Night twist to it.
Mm-hmm.
But that's gonna be my next pick, the second one. But I gotta find it.
All right, good. I'll watch them all at the same time. Save some time. That's what I'll do.
I might too. I might watch them back to back.
Yeah. Well, you gotta actually front to back, right? You have to watch Orphan and the prequel.
Yeah.
Good, solid point. If you would not have said that, I'm telling you guys right now, I would not have watched it that way. I would have still watched it the other way.
Yeah, Ashley is one of those, like, I watch everything in chronological story order.
Yeah, when they released it, as God intended.
Well, the way they intended it was the movie, then the prequel. Yeah. But hey, I'm a big fan of watching it like earliest to latest too. But in this case, I want to do it right, do it justice.
Me too. I'm excited.
Well, I am too. Like I said, this movie, Orphan, is one I've been kind of pounding around, wondering whether I should watch it again. So thank you, Brooke, for that. Give me something to do this week. Since it's my film, I get to ask myself, do I have any last thoughts?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if I do. I just know that, like, I think Brooke said it and you actually said it. Well acted, well cast, beautifully shot. I mean, I loved, like, every time that grinder guy would walk past the vines and the flowers would bloom and blossom, but then they would, like, die again. Like, as soon as he went past, it was almost like they were yearning for the blood or the sacrifice. So there was a lot of cool things that were juxtaposed into the film. And it was like, almost like, ooh, that's really cool. Whatever that is. Again, if they would just give me just a little taste and touch of what that thing was, so I could then have something to base every reaction to.
Yeah. There's a lot of stuff that they left out. They could have elaborated more on.
Yeah. We just need one thing. It's like, why did the goddess, what was her, I don't know, tie to the earth, tie to the cult? Mm-hmm. Even if it was done with just those 3 men in private, like having a conversation about it. That way, when things did happen, like the flowers blooming, when somebody with blood was walking past it, and then they would die again. It's like, they're like, oh, give me, like suckling on the blood that they weren't going to get. So it kind of made sense, but yeah, for me, I just tie it tighter.
How powerful are you if humans can just bind you up?
I think they gave her some bad sushi one night.
They had to have done something but still, I would just kind of be like, I guess you're not so powerful, huh?
Well, she's not God, capital G God. She's just like Bill Murray in Groundhog Day. I'm not the God, I'm a God.
Oh, Lord.
I'm just saying. But yeah, well done. I would love to hear comments for anybody who likes this specific genre, and let us know what they thought. Because again, I went in with expectation, and that kind of ruined it for me for a minute.
Yeah, I had expectations too. I feel you, Chuck. It made me feel the same way.
I appreciate that.
Then it wanted me back.
Brooke's like, I give it a 7.
I love it. I would have given it a 10. I love it.
I mean, Brooke, if you need to have your own rating scale, I mean, you can. Like the Brooke scale, on a 1 to 2 scale, Brooke is at a 40.
We need to put that on a T-shirt. The Brooke scale.
Brooke scale.
I love it.
Cool.
Well, I don't know. I'm scared. I'm a little scared of Brooke at the moment. But with that, but I still love you. I love you both. And again, our hearts and our everything's go out to Carly. I hope she's feeling better, doing better. I know she's having a little bit of a rough bit. So we will make sure that we are sending her all of our love. And as Brooke says, For you, Carly, wherever you are, let us know. We are here for you.
Yes.
And with that, I will send all my love to my other 2 angels.
Oh, I love you.
I love you. No, I love you more. But with that, I'm going to let you two go. Off you go into Dreamland. Thank you so much for joining us on another Sunday night here at Talk Horror to Me. And just remember, we are always here to scare you later.